Welcome. You're about to listen to a presentation by Hitoshe Abe, a professor and former chair in the Department of Architecture and Urban Design at UCLA and the director of the UCLA Paul First and Hisako Terasaki Center for Japanese Studies. The presentation of Hitoshe Abe was part of the first panel organized by CHARE, as part of the panel series Turkey and Syria After the Earthquakes. Since 1992, when Hitoshe Abe established Atelier Hitoshe Abe, he has maintained an active international design practice based in Sendai, Japan. As a designer and educator who continuously lectures and publishes throughout his career, Hitoshe Abe has earned a position among the leaders in the field of architecture and urban design for his ability to initiate productive interdisciplinary collaborations and establish professional partnerships with the various constituencies. With growing geography in its portfolio, Atelier Hitoshe Abe opened its second office in Los Angeles in 2008. In 2011, together with a group of Japanese architects, Hitoshe Abe initiated the Archi+8 network, a voluntary network of architects established to help reconstruct the damaged community by the 2011 East Japan Great Earthquake and Tsunami. In 2017, he opened the X-Lab at UCLA, which serves as an international think tank that examines architecture's elastic boundaries through interdisciplinary collaboration.
I'm very happy and honored to be part of this panel, and I'd like to talk about ArchiAid, network of architects to support the relief and recovery of the area devastated by Great Tohoku earthquake and the tsunami. And to be honest, I don't know if I have enough time to talk about this, but I will try to walk you through the quick cross-section of what we've done during the time that we were initiating the ArchiAid. Before maybe we talk about the ArchiAid, I'd like to quickly review or remind you about this disaster. The uniqueness of disaster was that damage was done rather by tsunami, not by the earthquake. And also the area devastated was so huge, over maybe 400 miles long coastline was destroyed. And not only the local city with a dense population, but there are many villages, fishermen villages, farmers villages were destroyed. And obviously the destruction was devastating, and this is little old data, but over 20,000 people were killed, and structural damage was devastating. And also there's a huge issue of debris, and the economic damage is maybe a little more than actually 25 trillion Japanese yen, which is a quarter of the annual budget of the country. And also, as you know, that there's a incident at the Fukushima, which is still not quite resolved yet. And of course, the reconstruction of the area is basically completed officially, except the Fukushima. However, the actual problem is how to recover the community itself, and it's continued to be the big issue as actually these areas lost so much population, especially the population of the youth. So this is actually the time span that we actually started. We jump-started the ArchiAid. And I think because of the passion of every participant, that we actually quickly formed this platform. Over 200 architects participated in Japan, including people that you know very well. And immediately we set the 3 objectives, which is very important. One is building of the multifaceted platform to support regional reconstruction and the development through an international network. Second, revival of architectural education and development of the practical reconstruction education service. Thirdly, accumulation and elimination of disaster knowledge. And there are so many architects and so many projects are involved. But today I would like to try to explain you what kind of approach was done and what kind of a possibility can be done by architect in this kind of area. The first one, again, the building of multifaceted platform to provide the support. So the arcade is not limiting the member. It's a very open network. And we actually invite people who are interested in and then trying to create a network to share the information, resources. We created even the system called Project Bank so that the people can apply with a project and be part of us, and then we can actually start to share many resources. And also the many issue was actually so many sort of uh, uh, reconstruction was done by centralized system. And as the first speaker said, the disaster happens always local. And because the area is so stretched, conditions and situations and the people are so varied. So there's a huge problem when the central governance is actually overlaid to push the reconstruction, so that we try to actually create the sort of a recovery effort more autonomous, decentralized, and generated by the network of individual, including survivors, experts, and students, and trying to actually create the future vision with the residents, local residents, rather than the ones that enforced by the central government. So in this platform, what's been done is, of course, the first thing that what we do best is building a building. And as you know, also many architects did this many buildings, including, of course, the small action to support the people in emergency shelter to more permanent sort of construction of the building. So we also started with a very low-key project to provide little shack to support the immediately to support the local industry, or we proposed prototypical sort of a reconstruction recovery houses. This is a core house, so it can be easily expanded and by using local technique. Of course, also we proposed more large-scale recovery housing to enhance the community to communicate well. But these are just one of the things that we are so good at, to actually propose the building, which changes the way that people get together and enhance the way people can communicate better. But also there are another things that, necessary was to create the basis for the communication and the place that to be discussed about the future of the area. And these were done, and it was used to actually invite the residents to talk about the future of the area, to think about it together. But more importantly, what we learned is that how architects can be involved to think about the future of their community, to just give a hope, because there are these residents lost their hope and they want to just run away from this area. So how we can actually be part of the community and help them to think. So there are many efforts being done. This is the one that we did in the Oshika Peninsula. It consists with so many small fisherman villages, and then 15 university in collaboration with the architects went there and I spent the summer and worked with local residents to come up with a future plan based on these researches. the research on the traditional building and the communication, and then they put the plan so that they can actually sort of help the local residents to communicate with the central government with their own consultant. So that way we can be the mediator to actually project their wishes to the plan by the central government. And you can see the differences right and left. The left one is the one that proposed by the central government, and the right one is the one that proposed by the arcade, so that it's less sort of a destruction of the existing landscape, and we are trying to actually respect the existing context and trying to protect the view or the landscape, traditional landscape. There are many ways, also same way, left proposed by the government and right by us. And also we created these bases so that we become part of the community and also provide sort of a place to discuss about the future. And also by bringing in students there, it will create some kind of stimulation and hope for these local residents in a small community. Also, we try to help not only by providing the building or the design, but setting up some sort of a place of knowledge. In this case, we try to establish the kind of a fishing industry schools, or we propose some tourism as a way to revive the area. And we did this kind of a plan. And also we actually run the interesting sort of a bicycle sort of events and so on to encourage these people to push this aspect. As we work with this local people, what we found out is that it's not still enough. You have to kind of create some sort of a mechanism to project, to connect all the stakeholders together. This is actually the diagram made by Professor Onoda, and we tend to do this guerrilla model on the right, and then that creates the huge sort of a conflict between the government and the local residents. So we try to shift this model to this white knight model so that experts can be the proper mediator, and it creates the really sort of a happy relationship, happy and positive relationship between the government and the resident. And there are a couple of successful cases, the Ishinomaki reconstruction plan support, as well as the Kamaishi reconstruction plan support. And we created some kind of mechanism so that the sort of a master planner and a leader is implemented as a mediator between the residents and the government. And some of the, these cases were very successful to actually implement the wishes and the vision of the local residents to the government action. And also, the problem of the reconstruction is it's always about bringing something back where it was, how it was. But the condition of the area is already changed, and it's changing. And you have to build, let's say, the public facility not for the current situation or tuned to the past, but towards the future. But it's very difficult without support of the experts. So we are actually helping and organizing the public competition for the public facility. So we did a competition, of course, together with the local government for the nursing schools, junior high school, and also public housing. And many of them are built. These are all built, and it is one of the very successful also approach to alter the future of area. Sorry, so that's the mission one. And then of course there are many, many, many things, that I'd like to introduce. But now also the practical reconstruction, the education service was very important. And the idea was, again, um, there are lots of devastation to the local educational system and the kids and youth in that area. And we try to actually provide this opportunity as a positive experience so that they can actually learn from this experience. And also, this is such a great opportunity for future architect, and then also for us to raise the future architect to think about the future. So there are many things provided. First thing, we did this special intern system so that the students who are in the devastated area were invited to spend time in Tokyo in this large or small size offices as an intern to think about actually future of northern part of Japan. And also we did this again, the students were a huge part of this arcade action, and they came together with the professor and participate this summer camp and spend time with the local residents, sleep on the floor, and then put the proposal together. And also that effort continues as even they go back to their own schools. And also there are many, many sort of small action took place as a form of the design studio. And also we extended our actually reach to the elementary school children to learn about what's happening in their local area, and then to actually stimulate their interest towards their own town. And also we brought the victims to Tokyo, and the other area had a symposium, basically, between the architects and the fishermen, which was a really interesting, actually, discussion. Of course, also we reach out to the school outside of Japan and invited them to have a conversation in the design studio about the reconstruction. This is a very interesting also sort of action and workshop. The group of people created series of model of the area before it was devastated. And then by using these models, they run the workshop with the local residents. So they come and then paint the color onto the white model. This is a way that they actually are reminded about how their community was, and it becomes the basis of actually how they want to picture their own future. So there are these comments of art by a local resident saying, "Oh, this was what, this is how this was," and it helped actually the architects and planner to think about what kind of what was lost, and then what kind of action needs to take place. And this model, I don't know how many models, there must be over 500 models was built, and then there's so many exhibitions taking place to also remind the other people about this disaster. And exchange, of course, it's very important. So we collect all this information from many people who are involved in this project, and then of course provide it to the others who needed it, but also we evaluate and store it. And we did so many publications about different projects. And of course, also sometimes publication really helps for the local residents to think about again their own future. And at the end, we published this record book, the thick book, basically documenting everything we did. Again, at the end, what's very important is to regain this kind of tie or bond among the people, the community back to the place, or at least to create the new community. And it was kind of interesting and also encouraging how much architect can do. And I think this profession really can make the differences. Thank you very much.